Helmut Marko has offered me the chance to sign for Toro Rosso on a temporary basis potentially until Red Bull are good enough to give me a race-winning car. What decision is going to be made, I will leave till the next episode, guys. Yes, guys, your eyes are not deceiving you. It is a very odd time right now in my F1 2019 career. We have signed a brand new contract to drive for Scuderia Toro Rosso on a temporary basis until Red Bull give us a race-winning car. We're here alongside Charles Leclerc. Devin Butler has gone the other way and is in the Red Bull that I once had alongside Pierre Gasly. So, obviously, Red Bull have all four of us contracted under the Red Bull umbrella, so they can just swap us around very easily. So, Butler is in at Red Bull, I'm here at Toro Rosso. I'm not entirely sure what the decision process was of deciding who was the one that was going to vacate the seat at Toro Rosso to make way for me, but of course Devin Butler is my former F2 rival and arch nemesis, so maybe they thought there'd be a bit too much friction there. There already has been some friction before between myself and Butler, nay, obviously the last season, the Brazilian Grand Prix, still very strong in my mind at least, almost Devin Butler spitting us out whilst we had the championship fight with Hamilton there, so I guess maybe that's a logical step that Helmut Marko and Christian Horner have made, but we inherit Butler's car, no less than actually in the Toro Rosso. Of course, it's the penalties and the engines stuff is all done with the car. It doesn't actually carry forward with the driver, so I effectively have Butler's car and engine now, and so you can see there the failure and DNF he had at the last race, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, was the control electronics went completely kaput, so that's completely done so I only have one control electronics left to play around with, but of course maybe the hope is that I won't be in a Toro Rosso for long enough that I'll need to swap out these components and get a grid penalty for the control electronics. We'll have to see. It really is all on Red Bull, you know, the bigger team, to step up to the plate now and try and play catch-up to this Toro Rosso team and give me a car that can win races. But until then, we're going to be in a Toro Rosso. It's a new, exciting challenge because this Toro Rosso is looking very strong, but also at the same time, Leclerc has been looking mighty. So I don't think this is going to be as simple as some of you guys might think in the comments below straight away after you've watched this first part of the video. So let's get into this. So let's go and get to qualifying in our brand new car.
You join us today at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for what's bound to be a really hectic qualifying as the teams compete to set the best lap times. So, could be a tasty one today then, Ants. We've got all the ingredients, that's for sure. Treacherous conditions, an ever-changing racetrack and one or two cars just behind the pace setters who maybe, just maybe, fancy a bit of an upset after a good performance from them in free practice.
And the question has to be, of course, what is that circuit going to look like in 10 to 15 minutes from now? If you think the rain's going to get worse, then you have to be straight out when the lights go green to find whatever grip you can. But if it eases off, then you're better off waiting, saving the tyres and going out at the perfect moment. The other thing that comes with these conditions? Traffic, and the lack of visibility that comes from sitting in the spray. It's going to be a constant problem, and I expect to see a lot of frustrated drivers with ruined laps out there today.
So first laps in anger then in the Toro Rosso. Unfortunately, are going to be in intermediate conditions, so not exactly my favourite conditions anymore on this game. So we're going to have to just try and survive this through P14 at the moment there. You can see struggling against the AI as we come through the last corner, though improving enough maybe on the top right to just get us through into Q2, and we got up to P11 there. That will be enough to get us through into the second part of qualifying, and thankfully I think the forecast should be the rain will stop now for the remainder of the weekend. Not only Saturday but also Sunday. Sunday should be completely sunny and dry. Right now it's just overcast and dry now though, as the track tries to dry up a little bit, so there might be a few little patches of water here and there, making the track a little bit damp still as we try and wind through and get the track rubbered in. Of course, right now it'll be green as the water's all washed away any rubber there was from Friday practice, but the car is feeling much better in the dry, and I'm feeling much better in the dry as we're up into P6 than it is as we go into the top 10 shootout there. Leclerc looking good, but look at that, Devin Butler, P1 in the Red Bull. Interesting, I'm alongside Gasly there, my former teammate from Red Bull. We're quite close together in Q2, so I wonder, maybe, I don't know, is Butler going to take the best out of the Red Bull car and show me up? This is the interesting dynamic here. At the moment, Butler is on provisional pole position as we go across the line to get P2 there. Leclerc is P3 now. This is what makes it so interesting. I just don't know where the Red Bull is. Maybe it was just me and Gasly unable to get the potential, because Butler is looking very good. He's on provisional pole right now, ahead of both of us Toro Rosso cars, myself and Leclerc. But let's see as we go through then. We've had a lot of improvement on this lap. Leclerc now goes and bags provisional pole there. Go fastest. We're down to P4 4 now, so other people have gone quicker as well, and so he's got this last sector. But the thing is, this Toro Rosso is feeling very, very nice indeed. As we go through the last sector, it almost dances through the chicane here, and even with a lockup, doesn't feel too bad, and it feels so lightweight and nimble compared to the Red Bull, feeling very, very awkward. So I can see why this car has been so good so far this season for Leclerc and Butler. As we go across the line, it is going to be pole position at the Spanish Grand Prix. At the first time of asking in our brand new Toro Rosso car, we bagged the pole. It's a close fight though between myself and Leclerc, and in the end then it looks like I was correct. The Toro Rosso still is the faster car. Had a bit of a scare, seeing Butler have so much pace there initially, but eventually it comes through there. It's a Noah's Ark 2x2, Toro Rosso, McLaren and Red Bull. So clearly Red Bull still have some catching up to do, because there was a split second there where I thought, hang on, the Red Bull, is it going to turn up and be a race-winning car right here because it's Spain and the Red Bull car? That'll be quite embarrassing for myself. But no, it doesn't have the pace quite yet, and I'm raring to go now. We have a real good fight on our hands between myself and Leclerc for the, well, I'm hoping what will be the race win. Maybe the McLaren's in there as well. Let's go get it. Let's get a Sunday and race for a win.
Good afternoon from a very familiar setting. It's race day here in Spain, and with everything still to play for in the championship battle, there's no room for mistakes in a Grand Prix that's well known for creating them. The Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, a track that will certainly force the drivers to push themselves. It consists of a very impressive main straight going into turn 1. It's a straight that also offers a DRS zone, so it's likely to be a hot spot for overtakes. Anthony Davison is here with me today, and together we'll be taking you through all the action at the Spanish Grand Prix. It can be hard for the cars to follow each other closely here due to all the dirty air coming off the car in front. So perhaps we're looking at a more strategic Grand Prix. What do you think on that one, Ant?
I'm not too sure about that, Crofty. Yes, it's hard to follow, but if you're brave on the brakes and willing to commit, there are definitely opportunities to be had here, like down into turn 10 after the DRS zone, for example. I don't think this is a race that's going to be decided purely in the pit stops.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. The engineer lines up on pole position with Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Norris, Devon Butler and Gasly, Bottas, Weber, Hamilton and Daniel Kvyat, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, George Russell and Magnussen, Vettel, Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi. Grosjean and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright, so here we are then on the grid in our slightly lighter blue car in pole position then for the Spanish Grand Prix alongside our new teammate Leclerc, and the strategy today will be a 2-stop, softer 2 sets of mediums. I assume the Honda engine in the back of this Toro Rosso will be also as efficient as the Red Bull, so we're going to go on quite low fuel but still have a bit to play around with and go in rich mix. I suspect the fight's going to be quite mega into the first turn, as the AI are going to be very quick off the mark. As here we go then to 5 red lights to the Spanish Grand Prix here in Catalonia in our brand new team. It's a front row lockout for the team. It's a new lease of life potentially for me for this season. The lights are out and we're underway. It's a good getaway for us actually compared to Leclerc. Surprised by that as we cut across and defend the inside line. But in the second phase of this start, the run to turn 1, Leclerc has the legs on the outside there. A little bit of contact made. Leclerc goes round the outside. He squeezes through and he's up into P1. A little bit caught off guard of the feeling of the Toro Rosso on heavier fuel, and so we have to just maintain P2. Unfortunately, Leclerc gets a mega boost through turns 2 as well, and behind me you've got Devon Butler, I think that is, going round the outside of the McLaren there, and it's a Butler up into P3, so it's a 1-2-3 for the Red Bull family there. 2 Toro Rossos followed by 1 Red Bull. Butler stonking start because he was down 2 positions behind both McLarens because it was 2x2 on the grid, so Devon Butler's had a great start, as has Leclerc. So these 2 former teammates obviously still not lost any of that magic that they had when they were pairing in this car, so I need to get to grips with this Toro Rosso as quickly as I can in this opening stint, otherwise Leclerc will kind of walk away, I think. Once we can't see him in the distance, I think that'll be it. So I need to try and get to grips, and we are getting to grips with this car slowly but surely as we move through onto lap number 3. That last sector felt a little bit more like that qualifying lap I did for pole position there. Once we found the groove, this car very much just does drive a lot more comfortably than the Red Bull ever did in the first 4 episodes of this season. You can see Leclerc does set the fast lap of the Grand Prix once again, but we've set a personal best as we have a double lock up into turn 1, but finding the speed now, slowly but surely winding cleaning the car up and finding that time within ourselves, within the car, and we're pushing the limits now as we move on towards the end of lap number 3 onto lap number 4. It's been a good lap. It's going to be the fast lap of the Grand Prix then, and now with DRS activated as well for the first time in this race. Here we go for a move for the race lead, maybe. Oh, tyre on the grass there as we get very close to Leclerc as well into turn 1. He's gone defensive on the inside of turn 2 instead. We've gone the long way around. I'll have the inside line for turn 3. Bit of a wobble though on the rear end. We have to go flat out then, and even though we are flat out, Leclerc somehow finds some more extra speed mid-corner there, and he's very close to making some contact with our front left tyre, literally inches away, and now we have made contact. Leclerc gets very, very argy-bargy there, and we have to really protect the car and keep it in a straight line there. So Leclerc showing me that he's not going to be Mr. Nice Guy here. This is his team, of course. I'm stepping into it as a new person. I may be coming from the senior team, but this is his team, and so he's trying to show me who's boss here with that very aggressive piece of defensive driving, I would say, but I would say just about fair enough, I would think, because I've done that in the past to other drivers, so it's only fair game there, especially when you're fighting for a race win. I feel that's just Formula 1. So here we go now through the last corner on lap number 6. Had to find my composure once again, so it's taken us a few laps since we first tried to attempt a race lead pass, but here we go again, second time lucky, and this time it's a lot easier as we don't have to make the move going into the brake zone there, and we're going to swoop back to racing line. We're into the race lead now of the Spanish Grand Prix. Maybe Leclerc's tyres going a little bit. That might also be the case as we go through then. Leclerc will come in one lap earlier than us then, so I wasn't sure when he was going to come in, wasn't sure when I was going to come in, because my engineer actually told me to change my pit stop from the default strategy to a little bit of a later one, and so I'm going to come in on lap number 8. But now I think, in a way, as you can see, my rear tyres are really screaming. I noticed in this race that the Toro Rosso definitely maybe drives a little bit better than the Red Bull car in general, but when the tyres start to go off, this Toro Rosso definitely felt a lot slidier than the Red Bull ever did, so that's something to maybe note for future races. But like I was saying, my engineer told me to come in one lap later than we initially agreed on the default strategy screen there, and I gotta think, with Leclerc coming in on that lap that was meant to be coming in by default, is this a bit of underhand tactics to make sure that Leclerc gets the undercut? We'll have to see, because he has got the undercut, and quite a big one actually at that, as we come through, and we're going to just clear the Ferraris, I think, that are going side by side into turn 1. We're 3 abreast there, as it's Ricciardo v George Russell. Those two going hammer and tong. We just get through ahead in P4, but Leclerc has got back up into what is effectively going to be the net race lead, but we're going to catch some traffic of Nico Hülkenberg, and I think that's Max Verstappen up ahead in the Renault. These two not making a pit stop quite yet. They've started on the medium tyre, so there are traffic that we have to both actually clear, because they won't make a pit stop for a decent while, I don't think. So Leclerc goes down the inside for P2 in this GP, then he's going to squeeze out Hülkenberg, and could we have now a snap at Nico to the inside? No, didn't think better of it, but Nico Hülkenberg does double lock up there, so that kind of almost invites us in, and so we have to try and make this move to the next left-hander. I can't go behind him for this entire next section, so here we go. Big dive down the inside, lock up on the front left, and it's a bit of a harsh overtake there, but needs must, and so up into P3, and we can chase after Leclerc once again as we move on to lap number 12, but he will make a move on Verstappen, I'm assuming, into turn 1. Verstappen goes defensive to the inside, but no use, but we're going to go for a late lunge as Verstappen locks up at the front right, and so we make it through and skip through up into P2, and that's a very sweet move and a crucial one there. That we really didn't lose much time there in that overtake, and so now that sets us up onto lap 14 to go chasing after our teammate once again, and he's going to stick in the middle there quite awkwardly, so we pull to the left and make a decision there of our own. We go on the long way around to the inside of turn 2, but we hit the curb a little bit with our front left tyre, so the rear end steps out, and we somehow just about managed to control the car and keep it in a straight line. But look in the mirrors, Leclerc is still there. We go very defensive to the inside. Leclerc fakes it to the right, goes on the left with a fantastic swoop round the outside. How on earth has he got the speed there mid-apex? I will never know. Like I said on lap 1 as well, I don't know how he got the speed into turn 1 then. I don't know how he got the speed when we first fought him for the race lead in lap number 4 as well. I mean, Leclerc is just on top of this Toro Rosso, and he just somehow is able to roll the car so quickly through into the brake zone compared to myself. So clearly still some learning to do with this car there. So fantastic piece of driving from Leclerc to get the race lead back, but we are going to pressurize him into a mistake there. Bad lock-up from him as we move into sector 3, but equally so, big mistake from me as we slam on the throttle way too early there. But you can see the tension is so high. We're both driving on the edge of grip here and the edge of our wits in terms of making mistakes left, right and centre between both of us there. So this is absolutely thrilling stuff. This is exactly what I wanted to see with this move to Toro Rosso, a real proper scrap out fight, and it's for the race lead no less as well, so that just makes it even sweeter. So here we go once again, myself v Charles Leclerc. Where's he going to go? He's going to stick to the inside once more. We're on the outside. This time we have so much more overspeed. We cut across very aggressively into the apex there and make sure we book in that P1 this time round. As we go through into turn 3, look at that, he's got his nose in there. We went wide to get the cut in for turn 3 to slam the throttle on harder, but allowed Leclerc in, and so he's on the inside this time. This time we're on the outside line as we go into turn 4, the end of sector 1, and we're just going to make it through. Little tyre on the grass, and Leclerc on the outside. We go wide with the lock-up on the front left, not really on purpose, but it kind of worked out for us, and we're able to defend that position and maintain P1. But for how long? Because Leclerc is looking mighty, like I said, on that race. We can see there, my engineer again asked for a confirmed change of strategy there, and again asks me to pit later on than we initially decided, which I still think is very, very odd, so we have to watch out for that. I might try and double cross my engineer's decision and try and come in early to try and block off Leclerc, but speaking of him, he comes back at us on lap number 19 here. We go defensive to the inside of turn 1. Obviously he has DRS, I don't, so we were quite sitting duck there in that kind of situation. We're able to hold it through turns 2 and 3. But as we go on through this stint then towards that second pit stop phase, my team have asked me to pit on lap 22. Initially I was meant to pit on lap 21, so I thought I'll ignore their decision and I'll still pit on lap 21 like we originally planned. But then as we go on through to the end of lap 20, Leclerc comes in even earlier than I thought he was. I thought the team was going to make me pit on lap 22 because Leclerc would come in lap 21, but alas, he came in even earlier on lap 20, so the team wanted me to go 2 more laps than him on this stint. So I wasn't having any of it, so I came in lap 21 when we initially agreed upon, so I've only lost 1 lap of undercut on Leclerc, but the team wanted me to lose 2 laps of undercut on him, so I really do think there's a bit of a weird agenda going on here about making me pit a lot later and making sure Leclerc gets a decent undercut here at the Spanish GP. So we're in then on lap 21, so 1 lap loss of undercut, and so I would think Leclerc is going to get us here because it was so powerful on that first pit stop there. But we will have 1 fresher set of tyres, and we've already overtaken him before for the race lead, so we just have to try and do it again. Of course, there could be complications in this last stint, but we're going to have to go for it, and I'm pretty confident actually that I'm getting to grips with this car and I'm finding the groove. So we've got 11 laps left to go in this GP. Let's go get him, and we move on to lap 23, 1 lap after literally, and already pressurising Leclerc. Purple first sector there, green second sector through the last chicane there. Good exit, little bit of a wobble actually from Leclerc on the front end there, that was, I think, and we have DRS, of course he does not, and so this is going to be a bit of an easy pass, I would like to think, hopefully. So we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, pull to the left and go and get into the race lead once more. Leclerc defenceless there, so even though the pit stops have been in his favour, he's got the undercut twice. The speed that we have in the DRS zone there, no match, and we're up into P1 once again. But now we've got 9 laps to go in this GP, and we've got to try and pull this through. And I've got to say, Leclerc kept me very, very honest indeed here. As we go through the remaining 9 laps of this Grand Prix, you can see Leclerc with DRS there has a little bit of look to the inside into turn 1. Behind us is Verstappen, who's on a mega one-stop strategy, I must say, to be fair. I don't think he made it through into the top 10 shootout, but he's up in P3. Then you've got Devin Butler in P4, so Verstappen's jumped the Red Bull car. Then it's Gasly behind Butler, so Gasly and Butler actually doing a decent job for Red Bull. Both Red Bulls ahead of both McLarens there, so the Red Bull's actually showing some decent race pace actually, and so that's good signs for me and I guess the whole Red Bull family. And then you've got a great little battle between George Russell and Lewis Hamilton for the lower points of the race there, so very odd to see those two familiar teams battling, that we've seen them many, many times before battling, but for the lower points. But like I was saying there before we ran through the order, Leclerc kept me very, very honest, and I was setting some very consistent lap times, you know, your kind of region of 118, mid 118s, and the entire time Leclerc was always within 1 second of me, always in the DRS zone. So although it wasn't an amazingly eventful last stint here, as we go on to lap 30, it was a very intense stint of just pushing, and Leclerc just constantly being with us and keeping up with our pace. I couldn't do anything to shake him off basically. And as we go on through to lap 31, Leclerc might just have enough pace off this last corner to make a move there with DRS. He's got a lot of ERS maybe to play around with. I don't have so much there, but we're still in overtake mode to try and get the most out of this engine. But he goes for the dive on the outside there. It's a really great one, but we come through on the second phase of the brake zone there to just match him and keep P1 as we go through on towards the last lap of the Grand Prix. Then on to lap 33, massive wobble from us on the rear end as the tyres start to give way. And like I said, the Toro Rosso feels a lot worse when you have tyre wear than the Red Bull car ever did in the first 4 rounds. And so once again, looking in the mirrors, looking behind us, Leclerc in the mirrors on the left. Ooh, bit of a little look, but didn't make it fully stick on the outside there for Leclerc, and so we maintain the race lead. And now we've just got this lap to go, lap 33, and we'll be doing the race victories. We come through then to the last few corners, the last chicane there, and it is going to be a absolutely sweet moment for us. The first time in the Toro Rosso this season, and it's going to be our first win of the season at the Spanish Grand Prix, and a 1-2 for the Toro Rosso team.
Superb driving. That's the race win.
Brilliant stuff from Toro Rosso today. What a superb victory. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Our winners are heading to the podium right now. Toro Rosso have done an exceptional job when it comes to forging new talent, and seeing them take home the victory today is a huge positive for the future of the sport.
An absolutely awesome tasting win there with the champagne, because that was such a great fight with Leclerc, and that is exactly what I wanted moving to this team. I wanted a proper good scrap with someone in the same car, whether it be Leclerc or Butler, and it was a great one with Leclerc, and hopefully that continues for the next few races, and whilst that happens, the Red Bull team can improve their car, and then all kind of, balance can be restored basically in the Red Bull family. But right now, great stuff for us, great feeling there. Obviously, Toro Rosso, we extend their lead in the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull still there in the mix of McLaren and Renault, and they showed some great race pace today by beating both McLaren, so hopefully that is a sign of things to come. They just need to kind of fix their qualifying pace and kind of just keep on improving their race pace, and they'll be right there really. I think, Renault still showing mega race pace to, just jump up from nowhere in qualifying to get these great results that Verstappen just showed today. They did it in Bahrain, they did it in Australia, so that's still something that the Red Bull team need to work on, as well as McLaren actually. They need to work on that because they've got the opposite basically. They qualify well and just don't show up in the race. But for us now, in our new team for this temporary part of the season, it's all good in our world there. You can see reputation going up, and everyone is very happy in our camp. So guys, if you did enjoy that episode, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Let me know what you think of this move to Toro Rosso there. And if you are new around here, do subscribe for weekly, full-on content. I've been Aarava. Have a just day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.